Hi guys, it's me, Joseph Anderson again, and I would like to wish everyone out there in Thailand a happy and safe Labor Day for 2025. Now, as per tradition, I was going to be doing like a video on a movie that I hold dear and has to do with labor, and that being 9 months. But I can't do that because my service for buying movies on the streaming Xbox Live was cut off in July, so I can't do that. But instead, I'm going to be doing something a little more related to labor, work labor and stuff, more so than 9 months because that kind of like an enjoy being a motherhood is like the hardest job in the world, and being that they go into labor pains when they give birth, when women give birth. So I thought it'd be kind of funny to do that. So maybe I'll do that movie for Mother's Day, which is more appropriate. But for right now, I should be reading Communist Manifesto by Karl Marx and Frederick Engels. That'd be more appropriate to dealing with labor in the workforce. Now, I want to tell you that this document is so old that at this point it's in the public domain. So by reading it out loud like this, I'm probably not going to get into any trouble with any YouTube algorithms or this, that, the other thing. So, yeah, without further ado, let me start reading this thing. Now, I will be reading the whole thing in one go because it's like 44 pages long, and that can be quite tiresome, especially this, which is incredibly lengthy and dense language. Now, that being said, I will try my best to read this. I read it once already to myself, quietly. So, there'll be a lot of, like old language in terms that I'm not used to reading about. And second of all, I don't know, I want to read like 4 pages of the manifesto with 2 plus 2 pages of the actual preface. Engels wrote a preface to this, a short one. So I don't know how long that's gonna take. Moreover, I don't know how long it will take me to read this thing, and I will not be doing like any wisecracks or snide remarks about this or my thoughts on it. To think, I already did the video for that already. So, this is pretty much, this is word for word the Communist Manifesto. Wish me luck. This is one of my many bookmarkers. And for some of the words that are in French, I'm gonna try my best to get through them. I'm sorry, there's 4 pages for the preface. I'm gonna try to get through it all tonight. Yeah. Okay. The Manifesto was published as the platform of the Communist League, a workmen's association, first exclusively German, later on international, and under political conditions of the continent before 1848, unavoidably a secret society. At a congress of the League held in London in November 1847, Marx and Engels were commissioned to prepare for publication a complete theoretical and practical party program. Drawn up in German in January 1848. The manuscript was sent to the printer in London a few weeks before the French Revolution of February 24th. A French translation was brought out in Paris shortly before the insurrection of June 1848. The first English translation by Miss Helen Macfarlane appeared in George Julian Harney's Red Republican, London 1850. A Danish and a Swiss edition has also been published. The defeat of the Parisian insurrection of June 1848, the first great battle between the proletariat and bourgeoisie, drove again into the background for a time the social and the political aspirations of the European working class. Therefore, the struggle for supremacy was again, as it had been before the Revolution of February, solely between different sections of the property class. The working class was reduced to fight for political elbow room to the position of the extreme wing of the middle class radicals. Wherever independent proletariat movements continued to show signs of life, they were ruthlessly hunted down. Thus, Prussian police hunted out the Central Board of the Communist League, then located in Cologne. The members were arrested, and after 18 months imprisonment, they were tried in October 1852. This celebrated Communist trial lasted from October 4th till November 12th. 7 of the prisoners were sentenced to terms of imprisonment. In a fortress, varying from 3 to 6 years. Immediately after the sentence, the league was formally dissolved by the remaining members as the Manifesto. It seemed thenceforth to be doomed to oblivion. when the Europeans, working class, had recovered sufficient strength for another attack on the ruling classes, the International Workmen's Association sprang up. But this association formed with the express aim of welding into one body the whole military proletariat of Europe and America could not at once proclaim principles down in the Manifesto. The International was bound to have a program broad enough to be acceptable to the English trade unions, to the Proud Hunt the followers of the Proud Hunt in France, Belgium, Italy, and Spain, and to the Lassallians in Germany. Marx drew up this program to the section of parties entirely trusted to the intellectual development of the working class, which was sure to result from combined action and mutual discussion. The very events and vicissitudes of the struggle against capital, the defeat even more than the victories, could not help bringing home to men's minds the insufficiencies of their various favorite nostrums, and preparing the way for a more complete insight into the true conditions of working class and emancipation. And Marx was right. The International, its breaking up in 1874, left the workers quite different men from what it had found them in 1864. Protestantism in France Lassallism in Germany were dying out, and even the conservative English trade unions, though most of them had long since severed their connections with the International, were gradually advancing toward that point at which Slovakia, the president could say in the name, continental socialism had lost its taste for us. In fact, the principles of the Manifesto had made considerable headway among the working men of all countries. The Manifesto itself thus came to the front again. Since 1850, the German texts have been reprinted several times in Switzerland, England, and America. In 1872, it was translated to English in New York, where the translation was published in Woodhall and Kelfland Weekly. From the English version, a French one was made in the Socialist of New York. Since then, it has been at least two more English translations, more or less related, have been brought out in America. One of them has been reprinted in England. The first Russian translation, made in Borodin, was published in Herzon's Kokol office in Geneva about 1863. A second one by the heroic Vera Solut, also in Geneva in 1882. A new Danish edition is to be found in Social Bibliothek Copenhagen, 1885. A fresh French translation in La Socialiste Paris in 1886. Smith Lives, a Spanish version, was prepared and published in Madrid in 1886. Not counting the German reprints, there have been at least 12 editions. An Armenian translation, which was to be published in Constantinople some months ago, did not see the light, I am told, because the publisher was afraid of bringing out a book with the name marks on it. Although the translator declined to call it his own production of further translation in other languages into other languages I've heard but have not seen. Thus, the history of the Manifesto reflects, to a great extent, the history of the modern working class movement. At present, it's undoubtedly the most widespread, the most international production of all socialist literature, a common platform known by millions of working men from Siberia to California. Yes, when it was written, we could not have called it a socialist manifesto. By socialists in 1847 were understood, on the one hand, the adherents of the various utopian systems, Owenites in England, foreign rights in France, both of them already reduced to the position of mere text and gradually dying out. On the other hand, the most multifarious social cracks who by all manners of tinkering profess to redress without any danger to the capital and profit all social grievances. In both cases, men outside the working class movement and looking rather to the educated classes for support. Whatever portion of the working class had become convinced of the necessity of mere political revolutions and had proclaimed the necessity of a total change, called itself communist, with a crude, ruffian, purely instinctive sort of communism. Still, it touched the carnal point and was powerful enough amongst the working class to produce utopian communism of Tibet in France and a world in Germany. Thus, in 1847, socialism was a middle-class movement, communism a working-class movement. Socialism was, on the continent at least, respectable. Communism was the very opposite, and our notion from the very beginning was that the emancipation of the working class must be the act of the working class itself. There could be no doubt as to which two names we must take. Moreover, we have ever since been far from repudiating it. The Manifesto being our joint production, I consider myself bound to state that the fundamental proposition which forms its nucleus belongs to Marx. That proposition is that in every historical epoch, the prevailing mode of economic production and exchange and the social organization necessarily following it form the basis upon which it is built up. And from which alone can be explained the political and intellectual history of that epoch, and consequently the whole history of mankind since the dissolution of primitive tribal society holding land in common ownership has been the history of class struggles, contest between exploiting and exploited, ruling and oppressed classes. But the history of these classes form a series of evolutions in which nowadays a stage has been reached where the exploited and the oppressed class, the proletariat, cannot attain its emancipation from the sway of exploited and ruling classes. The bourgeoisie, without at the same time, and once and for all, emancipating society at large from all exploitation, opposition, oppression, class distinctions, and class struggles. This proposition, which in my opinion is destined to do for history what Darwin's theory had done for biology, we, both of us, have been gradually approaching for some years before 1845. How far I had independently progressed toward it is best shown by my condition of the working class in England. But when I again met Marx in Brussels in spring of 1845, he had already worked out and put before me in terms of almost there are those which I have stated here from my joint preface to the German edition in 1872. I quote, "However much the state of things may have altered during the last 25 years, the general principles laid down in this manifesto are, on the whole, as correct today as ever. Here are some details might be improved. So here and there, some detail might be improved. The practical application of the principles will depend, as the manifesto itself states, everywhere and at all times, on historical conditions for the time being existing, and for that reason, no special stress is laid on the revolutionary measures proposed at the end of Section 2. That passage would, in many respects, be very differently put today, in view of the gigantic strides of modern history since 1848, and of the accompanying improved and extended organization of the working class, in view of the practical experience gained first in the February Revolution, and then some more in the Paris Commune, where the proletariat for the first time held political power for 2 whole months. This program has, in some detail, become more antiquated. One thing especially was provided by the Commune, via the working class, simply can't lay hold of the ready-made state machinery and wield it for its own purposes, end quote. In the quote, see the Civil War in France, addressed by the General Council of the International Workmen's Association in 1871, where this point is further developed. Further, it is self-evident that the criticism of the socialist literature is sufficient in relation to the present time, because it comes down only to 1847. Also, the remarks on the religion communist, the various opposition parties, Section 4, although in principle still correct, yet in practice are antiquated, because the political situation has been entirely changed, and the progress of history has left from the earth the greatest portion of the political parties they have enumerated. By then, the manifesto has become a historical document which we have no longer any right to alter. The present translation is by Mr. Samuel Moore, the translator of the greater position portions of Mars capital. We have revisited in common and I have added a few notes explanatory of the so-called illusions. London, January 30th, 1888. Now we will begin the meat of this. Manifesto of the Communist Party by Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels. A spectre is haunting Europe. The spectre of communism. All of the powers of old Europe have entered into a holy alliance to extradite the spectre. The Pope and Tsar, Metternich and Kaiser, French radicals, and German police spies. Where is the opposition that has not been tried as communistic by its opponents in power? Where is the opposition that has not held back its burning reproach of communism against the more advanced opposition parties, as well as against its reactionary adversaries? Two things result from this text. Communism is already acknowledged by all European powers to be itself a power. That was one. Two, it is high time that communists should openly and in the face of the whole world publish their views and tendencies and meet the nursery tale of the spectre of communism with a manifesto of the party itself. To this end, communists of various nationalities have assembled in London and sketched the following manifesto to be published in the English, French, German, Italian, Flemish, and Danish languages. Section 1. Bourgeoisie and the proletarians. The history of all existing society is the history of class struggles. Freeman and slave, patrician and plebeian, lord and serf, guildmaster and journeyman, in a word, oppressed and oppressed, oppressor and oppressed, stood in constant opposition with one another, carried on an uninterrupted, now hidden open fight. Now hidden open fight. A fight that every time ended. A fight that each time ended either in a revolutionary reconstitution of society at large, or in the common ruin of the contending classes. In early epochs of history, we find almost everywhere a complicated arrangement of society with various orders and a manifold gradation of social rank. In ancient Rome, we have patricians, knights, plebeians, enslaved in the Middle Ages, feudal lords, vassals, guild masters, journeymen, apprentices, serfs, and almost all these classes again subordinate gradation. The modern bourgeois society has started from the ruins of feudal society, and it has not done away with class antagonisms. It has been established new classes, new conditions of oppression, new forms of struggle in place of the old ones. Our epoch of bourgeoisie possesses, however, this distinctive feature. It has simplified class antagonisms. Society as a whole is more and more splitting up into two great household camps, two great classes directly facing each other, bourgeoisie and proletariat. From the serfs of the Middle Ages during the charge, burghers of earlier towns, these burgesses, the first elements of bourgeoisie were developed. The discovery of America, the rounding of the Cape, opened up fresh ground for rising bourgeoisie. The East Indian and Chinese markets, the colonization of America, trade with the colonies, the increase in the means of exchange and commodities generally gave to commerce, to navigation, to industry, and impulse never before known, and therefore the revolutionary element in the tottering fueled society a rapid development. The fuel system of industry, in which industrial production is monopolized by closed guilds, now no longer suffice for the growing wants of a new market. With the new markets, the manufacturing system took its place. The guild masters were pushed aside by the manufacturing middle class. Division of labor between different corporate guilds vanished in the face of division of labor in each single workshop. In time, the markets kept ever growing, the demand ever rising, even manufacturing no longer sufficed. Thereupon, steam and machinery revolutionized industrial production. Place of manufacture was taken by giant modern industry, the place of the industrial middle class by industrial maniacs. The leaders of the whole industrial armies, the modern bourgeoisie. Modern industry has established a world market for which the discovery of America paved the way. The market has given an immense development to commerce, to navigation, to communication by land. This development has, in its turn, reacted to the expansion of industry. In proportion as industry and development has in its turn reacted to the expansion of industry, and in the proportion as industry, commerce, navigation, railways expanded in the same proportion. Bourgeoisie developed, increased its capital, and pushed into the bourgeois into the background. Every class handed down from the Middle Ages. We see therefore how the modern bourgeoisie itself is the product of a long course of development, a series of revolutions in the modes of production and of exchange. Each step in the development of the bourgeoisie was accompanied by the corresponding political advance of that class, an oppressed class under the sway of feudal nobility. It became an armed and self-governing association in the medieval economy. Here, independent urban republics, as in Italy and Germany, they're taxable through the state of the monarchy, as in France. Afterwards, in the period of manufacture, proper serving either the semi-feudal or absolute monarchy of a counterpoise against the nobility, and in fact, cornerstone of the great monarchies in general. The bourgeoisie had at last, since the establishment of modern industry and of the world market, conquered for itself in the modern representative state a exclusive political sway. The executive of the modern state is but a committee for managing the common affairs of the whole bourgeoisie. The bourgeoisie has played a most revolutionary role in history. The bourgeoisie, wherever it had got the upper hand, has put an end to all feudal patriarchal idyllic relations It has previously torn asunder the motley fuel ties that bound man to his natural superiors, and has left no other bond between man and man than naked self-interest, and then called cash payment. It has drowned in the most heavenly ecstasy of religious fervor, of chivalrous enthusiasm, of Philistine sentimentalism, and in the age present, of egotistical calculation. It has resolved personal worth into exchange value in place of the numberless and indefeasible charter freedoms, has set up a single uncountable freedom, free trade. In one word, for exploitation veiled by religious and political allegiance, it has substituted naked, shameless, right, brutal exploitation. The bourgeoisie has stripped of the title of every occupation hitherto honored and looked up with the reverent awe. It has converted the physician, lawyer, the priest, the poet, the man of science, and paid wage laborers. The bourgeoisie has torn away from the family and sentimental veil, and has reduced the family relation to a mere money relation. The bourgeoisie has disclosed how it came to pass that the brutal displays of vigor in the Middle Ages, which reactionaries so much admire, found its fitting complement in the most lawful indolence. It has been the first to show what man's activity can bring about. It has accomplished wonders far surpassing Egyptian pyramids, Roman aqueducts, and Gothic cathedrals. It has conducted expeditions that put in the shade all former migrations of nations and crusades. And that's it for the daily dose of comments today, folks. More on the coming story comment line. In the next video, next couple pages of it. This is for my Labor Day in 2025. If you guys like what you see here, you want to see more of my videos, like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel. And also let me know if you enjoy my reading voice. And let's see here. I think next time I'll just I don't know what page that went, and I'll just read it up until the next sentence is done with in the on the left of the next page, like you did with that one. So yeah. Well, if you want to contact me for any future information on future videos, don't like, comment, share, and subscribe my channel, or you can always call me or text me at 631-707-3707. That's call me or text me. You can also follow me on Twitter or X if you prefer. Call that, and my email is jjviewingchannel@gmail.com. So I salute all you guys that were able to put up with my reading and reach fun with that. So peace out, my brothers and sisters. I'll see you in the next video. All you girls and guys in Internet land. Bye bye.